our first night here in our RVezy rental, the Nest, as you can see. It's so far going really well, but of course it's very different going from a 42-foot diesel pusher with 4 slides to a 16-foot trailer with no slides. But we met the owners.
Yeah, no, that went really well. The turnover from the time we got there till we were headed down the road was about 45 minutes. Went through all the systems, went through the rental agreement.
Yeah. So they do have paperwork that RVezy, I guess, recommends that they go through, so that you basically do a check to make sure there's no damages before you leave, and then they know what you're responsible for when you get back. Mm-hmm. Hopefully nothing.
Let's hope.
Our plan.
So far, nothing. Can say that.
Then we went, got on the road, went to the grocery store, did a few chores.
Super maneuverable.
Yeah.
Like if you have 2 spots together, you can park. It's easily.
So we're now staying at the Sasquatch Provincial Park near Harrison Hot Springs in British Columbia, and it's a very nice provincial park.
Mm-hmm. A lot of low overhanging branches, though. I don't think we would have got the beaver in here.
Yeah, we wouldn't have brought it here. So that's a new experience as well, because we just wheeled this little baby in here and
this thing will go anywhere.
It'll go anywhere. So it went really well. And so we're excited to carry on tomorrow. We'll have a good night's sleep tonight, we hope. We'll let you know. And then we'll be back on the road to show you more of this adventure as we go.
Do we know the name of this site?
This is the Lake La Hache Lake, and I guess it's really important. If you see any dam safety concerns, you need to report them.
Have you seen any dam safety concerns?
Not a damn thing.
Huh.
Hey.
Hey.
How'd everything do?
Good. I pulled really good. We did go down, not a real rough road, but a dirt road for 4 kilometers or so to get to this campsite. Yeah, everything stayed in its place. We have room for everything that we have.
And there's nothing laying around.
And nothing laying around. And we're cooking dinner.
On our stove.
On our gas cooktop.
Okay, here's the question.
Yes.
Have you used the bathroom?
I did.
And?
There's a bit of a height discrepancy. It's a pretty tall little unit.
It's a giant toilet for a small space.
And it's up very high.
What are you doing?
I'm camping.
How are you camping?
Because I have a nest now, right here in the trees. I can camp.
Wow. That's a nice nest.
It is.
Yale.
Oh, yeah.
It was during the gold rush time, late 1800s. There was 50,000 people in Yale because it was a transfer point where the paddle wheelers came and basically a transportation port.
We finished our first night in our RVezy rental, the Airstream Nest that we're towing. We did have a couple challenges that we're still working on.
One of them being the hot water heater, which is an on-demand, which I thought would be a good thing, but it turns out with this one anyhow, you have to run the water for a while for it to get hot and stay hot. So if you're having a continuous shower, it'd be great. But when you're boondocking, you're generally running it for a short period of time, shutting it off, and you're always having cold water. It takes forever to get it hot, whereas I think a hot water tank would actually be better for that.
In this particular instance, I don't know, maybe other models are different, but...
Yeah, maybe other people have other experiences with this, and I'd sure like to hear about it. Yeah.
So the other issue, again, we're just learning, and maybe someone out there could give us some advice, but the only mirror is in the wet bath. And so once the wet bath shower has been used, there's water in it, and then in order to use the mirror, you got to step in the water, and now you're tracking water all over the trailer. So we ended up wiping up everything with our towels, but again, we didn't bring a lot because we're trying to save on space, but this is going to have us going to the laundromat now, so it just seems to be we don't want to bring too much stuff.
And there's no laundry in this unit either, right?
Yeah, no figure. Anyways, we've gone and bought a mat and a few things like that to try and keep things a little drier. That's our current situation. Anybody got any advice, let us know, because we'd love to figure it out.
Yeah, and you got to remember, this whole unit is about the size of our bedroom, including the closet. So,
with the slides out, yeah,
Yeah.
in the Beaver.
so living in a small space, you really have to put everything away all the time. Otherwise, we find you're tripping over your own stuff.
I'm kind of hoping he brings that lesson back to the Beaver and the house too.
Yeah, we'll see.
This might be good for him. Anyways, we're back on the road. We're going to hopefully hit Hell's Gate today, maybe even end up at Barkerville, but the weather's not so great.
Hopefully the rain stops.
Yeah. We are here at Hell's Gate. We went down on the gondola and checked it all out, but there's a ton of history and learning to be done here.
There is. In 1808, Simon Fraser went from Prince George. He was trying to find the Pacific Ocean, and took the Fraser down and got to the canyon here at Hell's Gate. They had to go around Hell's Gate because it was too difficult to get through.
Well, it's really deep canyon and
Yeah.
huge rocks and boulders, and of course, depending on the season, the water is just smashing through there. So it's pretty dangerous and dramatic.
But they did make it, and they did eventually get to the Pacific Ocean.
They did. The gold rush came in the late 1880s.
Yeah.
And so they were needing to get the supplies and the men and the miners and everybody up through the canyon again. So they built the Caribou Trail. Then in the early 1900s.
Yeah, they were building the CN Railway alongside the river and were blasting. And it caused a rock slide to go into the river right at Hell's Gate, which made it even narrower and more difficult to navigate.
The salmon come from the Pacific up through the Fraser to their spawning grounds, one of them being right at our house. So,
And they weren't able to get through easily.
yeah, so it was really affecting the salmon's runs and their production. So it was
So
about
1929, they tried to blast it to open up the canyon. That had
Never be allowed to do that today. Never.
that had some impact, but it wasn't enough.
Right.
So in early 40s, 42, 43, they built some locks that would allow the fish to get through this canyon.
As you guys can see, one of us is more interested in history and learning, while the other one is far more interested in treats.
So is there history or treats in here? Oh my. These treats are going to be history soon. Don't they have like fudge and ice cream?
Yeah, I think they do over here. Peanut butter cups, those are your fave.
Nice.
A bit of a tourist trap, I might add, but that's just all things like that. Come down, take a look. It's beautiful. It's a lot of history and learning, so check it out. We're going to carry on up through the Gold Rush Trail now and onward and maybe get to Barkerville. Let's go.
Let's go. Oh, it's dark in here.
It is very dark. Well, we're wrapping up our first full day in our RVezy rental.
Went pretty good.
Yeah, I mean,
We didn't make it as far as we anticipated, but
that's not unusual for us.
No.
It has nothing to do with us having a rental. I mean, this thing has been super easy to tow.
it has been very easy to tow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very
The
easy.
weather, on the other hand, has been crazy. We had major wind.
We had a hail of a time we had.
Yes, we did. That was crazy.
It was crazy. Yeah.
So, yeah, we were like at the pullover point because it was coming down so hard.
So hard.
So we made it through that. We're at the Lac La Hache Provincial Park, so we do have quite a ways to go to get to Barkerville
Striking
tomorrow.
distance of Barkerville. Hopefully. Well, we'll get there tomorrow.
Right. We are getting a little better at the smaller space. It's more organized and tidy. We got a mat that's going to help us out with the shower concerns.
We didn't get a broom today, though.
Yeah, we need to get a broom.
We need to get a broom.
Definitely need a broom. And then we've got a few concerns with the making up of the bed. You know, being RV reviewers, you'd think...
Oh, yeah.
You would think, after all of the beds we've put down, that we could get this together, but...
This is a sucker. Like, we actually...
We'll show you.
Good thing we're short.
Size matters on this
We're
bed.
going to try and figure it out tonight.
We just can't seem to get the cushions in the right places, and there's big gaps or seams and things, and we even Googled it today. We can't figure it out. So anyways, we're going to try again, and if not, well, good thing we're short.
There you go.
Yeah. So, onward on our adventure and learning how to use this tiny space. We again are boondocking tonight.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, we got the heater figured out. We're doing well.
So I guess size does really matter. Otherwise, we wouldn't have fit in the bed.
That's right. So, we'll see you tomorrow. Mañana.
And then we left with that space, which is too small. And everything's tight against the walls. Yet those don't fit in there.
Just lifted that.
Yeah, no, there's no way. So any suggestions on this would be helpful.
Barkerville, and we just want to share a few personal thoughts with you. We're standing in the post office building, kind of in the middle of town, and we just wanted to share with you a little bit about the history and how we remember it, because we both grew up
In this area.
Yeah, in this area in general.
Visited it several times, sometimes on field trips with school.
Yeah, so we've came a lot of times before it became what it is today. Of course, like any of the gold rush towns, businesses and lives and saloons and dentists and barbers and all of those kinds of services then spring up where there's a group of people.
Those who mine the miners.
There was even a guy who came in the 1920s, so a little bit later, but he was still a prospector and a miner, and he actually lived in a little house across the street here. Right up until 1979.
So we would have been here visiting this park before, well, he was still living here.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's significant to us. You know, we were little kids running around in the streets of Barkerville, and that man was still a full-time resident.
Kind of makes us seem ancient, though.
Yeah, it was only a few years ago. Anyhow. What's happened is, in those days when we came on our school field trips and things, Barkerville has a society that takes care of it and was preserving it and things like that. And it was preserved and it was very well done with what they had. But since that time, the province has stepped in, I think, in taking a much bigger role, which kind of has made it
more services here and there's more stuff going on, but there's also more commercialized. That's what happens when those things happen. And it takes money to maintain these places, and I think that was probably a necessary step in the long run.
I think so too. There's shows, there's restaurants, there's B&Bs, there's more services so that when you come here, you can enjoy and learn. And there's tours and all sorts of more things than there ever was when we were kids.
Yeah, there is.
Well, my name's Charlie Hank and I'm a partner here on the Barker & Company claim. We are finding, gold nuggets that are the size of the end of my pinky, all the way up to the size of my thumb. I've even seen them the size of the palm of my hand. But whispers are starting to go around of another creek called Williams Creek. Now, no significant gold strikes have been found on Williams Creek yet. So Billy Barker figures, if he gets here fast enough, perhaps he can stake a very rich gold claim. So he finds himself here in July of 1861. We are here on our new claim, taking a new chance So we pick a spot. We start digging a mine shaft. Now this is a 4 foot by 4 foot hole dug with pick and shovel, timbering as we head straight down into the earth. On our very first attempt, we get down to 30 feet. Guess what we find at 30 feet, boy? Mud. Creeks and rivers, they're always changing their course over time, depending on how obstacles present themselves. So we make a very well-educated guess. We pick a second spot. And on our second attempt, we get down to 40 feet. Now guess what we find at 40 feet? Mud. You can imagine how his partners feel. I mean, we're moving into August. The mining season is nearly halfway complete. And we are pumping a tremendous amount of investment into these workings, and they are not giving us a return. We're ready to walk away from the entire thing. But Billy Barker convinces us to give him one more shot. So we agree. We sink a third shaft. We get down to 30 feet. Mud. 40 feet. Not a sausage. 50 feet. And we hit bedrock. Well, that's it. But one of us notices that bedrock is the color blue. Now in California, they have a word for this very hard layer of blue clay. Down there they refer to it as the blue lead. It's very much like a baked sugar coating on the top of a creme brulee. You break through that, you're going to find something wonderful on the other side. That is precisely what happens with us, folks, just on the other side of that hard layer of blue clay, at 52 feet, waiting for us to find it. 124 ounces of gold. We are not finished. We dig down another 30 feet of gold-paying gravel before we hit real bedrock, and we are bringing up a third of an ounce of gold per pan. By the end of the week, all of the debts are paid. Each one of us partners, we are $20,000 richer. We're just getting started. Now it's time to start tunneling out sideways, following the lead. Now, boom towns always pop up along those biggest strikes. Word of your operation gets out, and so that whole creekside starts to fill up with more claims, more activity, more people. Eventually, there's so many people grouped there that someone decides, I might as well just start up a business right here in this cluster of people. They'll come to me with their money first, rather than go off to the next town to do their celebrating or their resupplying. So you build a mercantile, room and board, saloons. We have 28 saloons on the back street here alone. Blacksmith shops. Give it a silly name and look at that. Voila, now you have a town. Now these are boom towns. Very chaotic. There's no planning put into them. They're built as needed. Oftentimes they fade away just as quickly as they go up. This is August of 1862. As you can imagine, snows do come quickly in these Caribou Hills. So by October, Billy and us partners, we head back down to Victoria to winter over. We do decide to leave behind one partner, though. The only man we trust. Probably because he's the only responsible one amongst us. And the most handsome. Me, Charles Hankin, to watch over this claim until that next spring. And in 1894, at the age of 77 years, Billy Barker will pass away, penniless. He's buried in an unmarked pauper's grave at Ross Bay Cemetery, without a stick or a stone to mark his passing. Billy Barker leaves nothing unto the world but a pocket watch, a photograph, a sewing kit, and an empty gold poke. It's not all he leaves behind, though, is it? I mean, after all, he does leave behind a town, which in your day still bears his name. And wouldn't you know, about 100 years after our famous gold strike in the year of 1962, some very nice people will begin to wonder, where on earth does Barkerville get its name from? Because Billy's memory will have faded into obscurity. And so they will learn more about our William Barker, and their research will take them down to Victoria, where they will look through the records. They will actually be able to pinpoint his unmarked grave. So they take it upon themselves to place just a little bronze plaque upon it to commemorate his passing. But then, as the years continue, we begin to realize that because of Billy Barker's discovery here, because of his persistence to just keep digging when everyone else gave up, we realize that Williams Creek is not just any other gold-plated creek that is flowing through the Caribou. This is in fact the #1 gold-producing creek per lineal foot in the entire world. This still holds true in your day. 4 tons of gold come out of this 2.5-mile stretch of creek, and because of this, Barkerville is at the center of our gold rush history here in British Columbia and is a contributing factor to the creation of this place as a province of Canada.
We've really enjoyed coming back to Barkerville today and checking it out. It's different than what it was when we were kids.
We'll put a link for the Barkerville website in the description below. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. We'd be happy to answer them.
Right. And hit the subscribe button and hit that notification bell, and then we can bring you along on our next RVezy adventure. See you out there.